Our conversation this morning with IUP President Dr. Michael Driscoll is brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people, and he's on the line with us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, it's good to have you with us here today. It's been a while.
It has been a while. We've been busy.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things people might say, well, IUP, the students didn't come back after spring break. Everybody just sat back, kicked their feet up, and they're just waiting for this thing to all blow through. Nothing further from the truth than that, is there?
Not it at all. We certainly did a lot of work to make sure our students got the education they deserve. We finished the semester. Things are a little different than they were in terms of the workload and how we're doing things, but we're all working just as hard as ever, if not harder.
Yeah, and of course, one of the questions that everybody is going to have is what happens in the fall? Do the students come back? Cal U says their students will be coming back. Of course, everything is tentative. But at IUP, that decision's not been announced yet. Has it been made yet?
We won't be able to make that decision today, but here's what we're planning for. We're going to plan to be face-to-face in the fall, but I'm going to call it face-to-face with a little bit of a twist to make sure that we keep everyone safe. And that's a key principle for us, along with providing great education. And we need to do all this based on the best science and the progress of the disease. So we'll probably see more spacing out of students living in on-campus housing. We'll see classes operate a little differently, so we may have fewer students in the room at any given time and maybe rotate that from a Monday class and a Wednesday class session and so on, and using technology to support students who aren't physically in the room. All of those sorts of things are being looked at. I'm just have established a committee to dig into the details and make sure we're doing things right. We're also hosting a summer academy for about a week with faculty and staff, building on what we learned in this quick change in the spring to design the correct experience for the fall. So we hope to be back. Obviously, nobody can be certain about that right now, but that's our goal because that's an important part of the IUP experience. It'll be just a little different when we get back, though.
And there are things such as freshman orientation. That typically happens in the summer. The summer sessions and all of those, do those still have to be defined yet as well?
We're right now starting summer session. Most of our summer session has been in an online mode for the past several years anyway, so we've transitioned the few face-to-face classes to online for the summer, and that's how we're operating right now. We've done a lot of work in developing and rolling out virtual orientation for potential new students as they're getting ready to show up. But we are hoping to have somewhere around August 15th a more intensive experience face-to-face with those new students coming in. Usually we have a weekend, a welcome weekend with students back. We're hoping to spend that whole week. And the details are still being laid out, but the calendar is identified. Again, if the virus takes us sideways, we'll adapt to that as we need to, but that's our hope.
And there, of course, will be all kinds of different challenges, both at the state system level and at the individual university level, and all of those will remain to be sorted out over the coming months. But I wanted to talk to you this morning about something that came out this week, and that is your 2019 President's Report, Making an Impact in Changing Times. And it's, of course, done in an era before COVID-19, 2019 was, but there are some very cogent points that are made there about progress being made on various issues at IUP that will still apply going forward. So tell me about the President's Report, working on it, and it's putting it out right now.
It's absolutely correct that there's a lot of great stuff going on. It's really just a slice of many, many great things that have been happening at IUP. And it was a pleasure to put this together and discover and craft that story. And folks can find this online, or we have some print copies as well. But it sort of went to press right before we hit the virus and all the problems and issues we've had to address. But the fundamental issues are exactly the same, and that is we need to provide the sorts of services our communities need and our students need to be successful in the future. And we have to adapt to changing student demands, student needs, and the needs of the economy and of Pennsylvania. And that's true before the virus. It's true after the virus. Some of the needs have changed slightly, but we still have the desire to take that great IUP experience that's demonstrated in the report, talking about students doing hands-on work in communities, giving back being challenged to move beyond where they thought they could be. That's all true in the new reality. Some of the tools may have to change, and we all know the economy is going to look a little different. So some of the jobs of the future may be somewhat different than they are today, but we were already doing great things in areas like cybersecurity, which will continue to be strong and maybe stronger, in healthcare-related areas, which certainly will continue to be a big demand in this new reality after the pandemic or in the middle of the pandemic.
As we look at the report, we see the various sections of it and some of the summaries of what's going on at IUP. There were some very striking things that were such great positive stories in 2019. What are some of the great highlights of the year for you?
Well, I think that the biggest thing that comes to me is continuing to deal with the challenges we have of the divisiveness of our society and figuring out how we can all live and work together in a civil manner, even when we disagree about issues. And so we spent a year talking about free speech and how to navigate that together, even though there are very different opinions in our student body. And I think that's a real high point. We continue that work even today in helping people come to grips, to learn the tools of how to deal with things in a civil, rational dialogue instead of just shouting at each other, which unfortunately still seems to be the mode in much of our society. So that was a major high point. I have to mention the incredible investments that people are continuing to make in IUP as we are getting close to the end of our Imagine Unlimited campaign. The report talks about being about 90% to goal. We're continuing to make progress, and we're going to hit that target of $75 million in the next year and a half or so, and very confident about that. People are excited about the work they do, alumni and others, and are giving back and investing in our students today and in the future in wonderful ways. Those are a couple things that I would certainly want to mention, but there's great stuff on every page.
One of the interesting things to me about it, and you just mentioned it, the way that alumni seem to be rallying around the university with the times the way that they are before the COVID-19 pandemic, and then you consider what it's like now, it's even more challenging. It seems like IUP's alumni are looking backwards at their university and saying, this is the time for me to step forward and help them take their next steps.
It's absolutely true, and one of the things that you don't get to see in a written report or in a number is how those alum are actually stepping back and engaging with today's students in very personal and productive ways, mentoring, helping in classrooms, helping design our new science building, Kopchik Hall, and figuring out how to do things right for today's students and tomorrow's students. That interpersonal engagement from our alum is something that the numbers don't capture, but the numbers are reflective of that incredible engagement from all of our alum. And they had a great IUP experience and benefited, and they want to give back. It's just remarkable.
One of the other interesting things I find about IUP, not just in your report, because you do highlight it in your report, but other factors that go into IUP enrollment, there is a tendency to look at numbers, and numbers are very, very important just in terms of the revenues they generate. But the quality of the students coming to IUP, the high school grade point averages, the testing scores, the abilities that the incoming students to IUP have, and not just freshmen, but students from other backgrounds, it's really, really increased in the last 5 or 6 years.
We've seen a remarkable increase, and we focused on high school GPA, and I think we're at about 3.31 or so in the report average of our new freshman class, and that looks like that's going to be up again this fall. I'm not going to predict an exact number just yet. And we also are seeing students come in various times of their life. The important thing is the results that come from those numbers, though, and you indicated that. So when we have students out in the field testing, making sure that water quality and air quality are good in a region, when we have students working with faculty to discover new species, when we have students working in the field in the energy industry, just all sorts of things like that demonstrate the quality of the students that we're seeing today. And I don't think it's ever been better than the students we're seeing right now.
The 2019 President's Report is available on the IUP website. Dr. Michael Driscoll with us today. As you're looking at next year's report, when you're issuing the 2020 report, there's just no way to predict anything about what's going to happen in the next 10 months, is it?
There really isn't, except that we can be certain of one thing, and that is the strength of IUP has always been our incredible faculty, staff, and students, and they're still incredible people. And although the circumstances are very challenging and there are lots of changes every day, the people are still doing wonderful things and for the right reasons. So we can be sure that'll show up in the next report without a doubt.
All right, terrific. We've been watching you on the videos weekly. We've been watching your hair grow. And we wish you the best, and very soon maybe you'll be able to get a haircut.
One of these days, I think it'll happen. And thanks so much for all the interest and attention. And we'll look forward to talking to you again sometime.
Dr. Michael Driscoll, have a great day.
You too.
Hey.
You too.